Hello, and welcome back to the Choosing Known podcast. I'm Laura Catherine Etheridge, and I am glad to be back with all of you. I hope you've had a really good week. Hope you're having a good day, and I am excited to be back with each of you. I know I say that every week. I really mean that. This is a really life-giving adventure that we get to have. And I love, Jesus said in the Gospels, he says, the kingdom of the heavens has arrived among you. And he brought this amazing news. And then we've talked about it a lot with John 10:10. I came that you may have life. And he didn't stop there, and have it abundantly. That's who Jesus is. He wants life, and he wants it abundant. And like I've talked about, he didn't give asterisks. He didn't put fine print. He didn't say if you have this circumstance or this circumstance or this circumstance, you can have life. No, he said, I came that you and me can have life and have it abundantly. And so every time I get on here, I just marvel at the fact that we have that kind of a God who came to us, who made this kind of a life available to you and to me, and he wants that for us. And the thing that limits us from having it is, do we know him? And then do we know how to engage with it? That word how, that matters so much. And you've heard me talk about that, because a lot of times we get kind of like, I used this analogy last time of my little shop vac, and we realize like, I need him. And so we start doing the activities. We sometimes do the activities, and we sometimes realize I got to have him. So we've got him in our life. So we kind of turn it on. We do the activities, but unless we really know where the power comes from, we're just going to be sitting there sweating as we try harder and harder and harder to do this Christian life, Christian walk. And then we wonder, like, why isn't it working? And then we think somehow maybe I'm not doing it right. And so then we just keep working harder and harder. And we do need to ask, is something off here? Is something wrong here? Because this doesn't seem to be working. But usually what we need to do in our diagnostic check and kind of looking at why is it not working is we need to go look at, do I have it connected to the supply of power? We talked about last time this verse that we sometimes have a form of godliness. The Bible talks about we can have a form of godliness. We can be doing the vacuuming activities, but we can be, as we do that, denying its power. And so if we think this Christian life is about me, or mostly about me, and mostly about what I do and the activities I do and how much of them I do and how well I do them, we are going to have a form of godliness, but deny its power, because the power is God himself. It's relationship with God himself. And all the Christian activities, wonderful, important, ones that we need to and we want to engage in, what are they meant to do? Those activities are a lot like the cord. They're meant to connect me to the power. I read the Bible to know God. I worship to worship God. I pray to God. I fast to learn about God supplying everything that I need. All of that is about me connecting to God. That's what it's supposed to be about. But a lot of times, many times, we get lost thinking somehow it's about something else. It's about me. It's about how well I do it, how much I do it. We get all jumbled. It's not about that. It's about me knowing him, having him, not denying his power, plugging into his power, plugging into him. And when we do, miracles happen. And we talked about that last episode. We said, what are miracles? How do they happen? How do miracles take place? We talked about how Jesus said, hey, You're supposed to do the works that I've done, and even greater works than I've done are you supposed to be doing. Now, he didn't say it like, good luck. He said it like, this is the kind of power you can have in your life. And this is the kind of power that people around you can experience through your life and in their own life. This is what is available to you. And so we want to learn as we continue this journey, okay, how? How, if that's what's available to me, how do I get that? How do I have that? And the answer is it comes in our heart belief, in our will and our belief. That's what we have to begin to understand. That connects me into the power or the lack thereof is belief. And so we're going to dive back in today to another story that really shows us this. And then we're going to link back to some more of what we talked about last time. But I want us to dive into the story. As I read it, just let it come into you and imagine yourself in this story. Imagine yourself in this circumstance. So this story comes out of Luke. It's Luke 7, 1 through 10. And it goes like this. This is Jesus, after he had finished all his sayings in the hearing of the people, he entered Capernaum. Now a centurion had a servant who was sick and at the point of death, who was highly valued by him. And just for a second, you have someone who's important to you, really important to you. You have a relationship with them. You've been close to them. This centurion has someone who is highly valued by him. Who is highly valued by you? And they're at a point of death. When the centurion heard about Jesus, he sent to him elders of the Jews, asking him to come and to heal his servant that is highly valued by him. Now, how would you feel? You have this highly valued person, you hear about Jesus, you send because you have this person that matters and you want him to be healed. And when they came to Jesus, they pleaded with him earnestly, saying, he is worthy to have you do this for him, for he loves our nation, and he is the one who built our synagogue. So they're like tugging on him. Please, come. Almost like he wouldn't want to, or isn't interested, or would blow them off. Oh, come, he's worthy, he loves our nation, and he's the one who built our synagogue. And they're like pleading with him. And Jesus went with them. When he was not far from the house, the centurion sent friends, saying to him, Lord, do not trouble yourself, for I am not worthy to have you come under my roof. Therefore, I do not presume to come to you, but say the word, and let my servant be healed. For I too am a man set under authority, with soldiers under me. And I say to one, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes, and to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him, and turning to the crowd that had followed him, said, I tell you, even in Israel have I found such faith. These were supposed to be the people of God who knew him, who knew all about him. They had the scriptures. And he says, I'm telling you, I haven't, even in Israel, even with all these people who know about me, and they've read the scriptures and they've done the activities, I have not found such faith. And when those who had been sent returned to the house, they found the servant well. Great story. Great story. What's going on here? This centurion is in a situation with someone that is very valuable to him dying. That puts us in a pretty desperate situation. And here what does it say? He heard about Jesus. He heard about him. And when he heard about him, he comes to this, which we hear in the story, in his head. He says, wait a second. If Jesus can do that, if Jesus is who they say he is, and if he's able to do these kinds of things, this man is very, very high. And he saw this centurion. He sees, grabbing my prop here. He sees through the situation, and he sees the Genesis 1 God. And we talked about this last time. Who is the Genesis 1 God? Who is the God, Genesis 1 God, that's also available to us? He is the God that in the beginning, when there was nothing, he created the heavens and the earth. And it was formless. It had no structure. It was chaotic. There was nothing. And it was void. It had nothing in it. It was nothingness. In the beginning, God, when there was nothingness, said, and we read this last time in Genesis 1. And what does it happen in Genesis 1? 6 times in the first chapter it says, God said, God said, God said, God said, God said. And when he said, what happened? God said, God separated. He sees what he has said and separated. He sees it. He calls it by name, and then it does what God said it would do. And we talked about last time, everything in this material world, what is it made out of? What we see it and we go, that's a tree. Yeah. What is it made out of? The Word of God. The very Word of God. And this centurion, he hears about Jesus. He hears what Jesus is doing, and he says, now just wait a second. In my world, if I'm able to create those kinds of things and make those things happen through my servants, I would be pretty high up. And he goes, this Jesus, he sees through his circumstance, this Jesus is this Jesus. He is the God that can say something and it happens. That is who he is. He is that kind of a God. And so he says, I'm not worthy. What does he call him? Lord. You are the Lord. I am not worthy to have you come even into my house. You are so high above me. You are so much greater than I am. And you, because you're greater than I am, you have this kind of authority. And because you have this kind of authority, you can just say from where you are, and it will happen. And Jesus marveled at his faith. Because what is faith? We've talked about this. It is confidence. Confidence in God. He sent people, connects him to God. He asked for something, that's pretty much prayer. He happened to send it through someone, but he prayed. He sent a message to God through people. He sent people, he prayed, and he said, God, I am not worthy to have you even come into my house. He plugged in, just say the word. Just say the word, and it will be done. And Jesus, he loved it. He loved it. He turns to the crowd and he marvels and he says, I have not found this kind of faith even among the people of God. This kind of confidence, even among the people, I've not found it. But this man has that kind of confidence. And what happens with that kind of a confidence? The servants go home, the friends that came to Jesus, they go home, and what do they find? He's well. He's well. Is he well because of the centurion and all of what he did? Well, he's well because the centurion reached out in faith. But the centurion knew, I cannot change this. The people around me cannot change this. But wait, this Jesus I'm hearing about, he sees through the circumstance. He could change it. He could make it different. And indeed, he can. These kinds of stories, sometimes people say, the Bible is supposed to read us. And yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because we get all caught up in our world, and we get all caught up in our own circumstances, and we begin to take things just from the seeing down, and we go, oh, it's this way. Oh, this is how it is. This is what's going to happen. And we miss God. And even in these crucial circumstances, we've stacked it up and we go, oh, it's impossible. Oh. And what are we doing when we have that lack of confidence in God, lack of faith? Here's what we're doing. We've looked at this diagram recently. We're going to look at it again. We're saying this circumstance, something lower than God, this thing in the world, this thing that's missing in my life, this circumstance with people, this health battle, this issue, this thing is greater than God. It has more authority than God. And for some reason, those words, we think it, we believe it. And we say, this is greater than God. This circumstance, the situation, higher, more authority, what it says, that's so. And you know what? We agree with it. We're agreeing with that. And Jesus is saying, even in Israel, among the people of God, this is happening. And it's not supposed to be happening. What's supposed to be happening? We're supposed to recognize that God is the greatest. He is the one when there was nothing. He made it. He made it. And we are to recognize that is who he is. And if God can make something out of himself, something out of nothing, then that kind of a God can help me in my circumstance, in my situation, in my relationships, in my problems. That kind of a God can help me. And sometimes that's hard because we've practiced in our believer, our heart. We've talked about the heart is the will. It's where we store our belief. We've practiced that other wrong belief for a long time. And we believe it. And our brain believes it. And our emotions believe it. And our physical body believes it. And everything inside of us is screaming, that's not true. But if we want to, we can come to God and say, Father God, like that man we read about a number of episodes ago, I do believe. Help my unbelief. Help my unbelief. There's a beautiful piece in the scriptures where it says, Jesus says, I stand at the door and I knock. And anyone who hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and I will eat with him. What is our part in this faith thing? Believing in the God that made something out of nothing and brings dead things back to life. Hearing His words in the Bible, hearing His voice calling to us in our heart. And our part is to say, am I going to open the door? Am I going to let Him in? Or am I going to keep that door closed and keep Him out and keep believing the way I believe? What's going on in your life right now? What's happening in your world? What's going on in your head, in your emotions in this season of life, in your physical body, in your relationships, in your circumstances? Do you see through them? Do you see through the circumstances to this God, the Genesis 1 God? Or have you taken them, what they look like, what's been said, what your being has said? Do you believe the circumstances, or do you believe God? I want to leave you with that this week. I don't know what you're facing, but I know one thing, and I say it with a smile because I know it from experience. The God that made something out of nothing, the God who can speak things into existence out of Himself, that God is alive. It says in the Bible, He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And that God is standing right with you right now. And Jesus is knocking on that belief, the door inside of your heart, your believer, your will, and you have a choice to make. Are you going to believe God and what He says, and as we see what He can do? Or are you going to keep holding on to what you say, what somebody else says, the circumstance as it is, not seeing through it, but seeing it and just going, this is how it is? I leave you with that this week. He's available to you. Jesus marveled at this man's faith. Jesus is okay, like we read a few episodes ago. Even if all the faith you have is to reach out with maybe a shaky hand in your heart belief and just open the door. Jesus said He would come in. And what have we talked about? If He comes in, He is the power. 99.99% is Him. I have the door part. I open myself, I plug into that power by letting Him in, or I close the door and I say, I won't have anything to do with it. So consider that this week as you look at your life, as you look at the circumstances in your life, and decide with your heart, what do I want to do with God? And what do I want to do in this circumstance by letting God into it? Have a great week. I look forward to talking with you next time.